have done it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Evermore YouTube channel. It's surprise. It's me, not Mark, on the post-match. And you're wondering why. I was supposed to be at the game today, but I had a very unlucky start to my day where yesterday I heard a really weird noise when I was driving down the street. I didn't think anything of it. And today I woke up, looked at my car, and guess what? My tyre was on the piss because I had a nail inside the wall of the tyre, took it to the garage, and turns out I need more than one tyre. So I didn't get to the garage till 1 o'clock. So hence I couldn't go to the game, and hence you have me on the post-match analysis. And I'm a much happier Chris because Bruno Guimaraes has just saved our arses at St James's Park, beating Fulham 2-1 in a must-win game for me. It really was a must-win game for everybody. We're going to get stuck right into that, talk about the game, talk about the key moments. If you just checked us out for the first time, hello, thanks for tuning in. Smash that subscribe button, hang around a little bit longer. We are closing in on 11,800 subs now. We're only a couple away, so we're getting close to the 12,000 mark. I have an unbelievable prize for you on the 12,000 subscriber competition, which we will do when we hit it. You guys recommend us to family and friends. It's always free to subscribe. Drop a comment below, all that kind of a thing, and we will make sure you're in that prize draw for the 12,000 subscriber mark. So let's take a breath. Let's get into this game. So obviously, after a brilliant performance in Benfica, we all said there's no point doing it in Benfica, against Benfica, if you can't do it in the Premier League, where it's been a bit patchy, safe to say. We haven't really been the best. And I think, you know, we needed a big performance today. We didn't really get that. We'll get into that in a minute. But this is how we lined up today in terms of the changes to the side. The big change really was Joe Linton came in for Jacob Ramsey. Now, a lot of people were a little bit upset about that. And Jacob Ramsey could probably feel a little bit hard done by it because I thought he played really well against Benfica. But he is being kind of managed back, I think, to full fitness. I think Eddie Howe was very conscientious about using Jacob Ramsey because obviously the injury that he suffered, he's had injuries before. So he probably wants to get the most optimum level out of Jacob Ramsey. So everybody else stayed the same. Lewis Miley kept his position. You know, I'm a big Miley fan. Tonali was on the bench. Looked a lot better when he come on. So he must be getting over that lurgy. Probably a few ginger shots from Aldi, possibly. He does love a cheap shop. Just Sandro Tonali. Remember Wetherspoons. Maybe he's got a Wetherspoons. Had a whiskey neat, sort himself out. But that was the only change in the lineup there. And you fancied us to beat Fulham on paper. You really, really did. You know, we were missing some players. Obviously, we're missing Hall, Livramento, Wissa. But they're missing a lot of key players as well. And you would have thought, right, Newcastle are going to get sorted. Newcastle are going to get into this game, get right into it, get in the faces, get it done. And it just seemed a little bit, you know, we did have moments in the first half where we were kind of on them. You know, we hit the post from Nick Voltemade from a corner, comes in, he flicks his footer, hits the post. You know, then Murphy hits the post on the outside of the post. That was a little bit of a weird shot, I think it was really. But I didn't think we were great, you know, in the full-back positions as well. I thought Byrne looked a little bit suspicious today. You know, a lot of people are banging that in the comments already. He was playing against the baby oil bandit that is Adama Traore. Now, if anyone stopped me in the street, if nobody watched football ever again or ever in their life and said to me, Chris, please explain to me in a simple sentence who Adama Traore is, I would say, built like a brick shit house, but shit, or fast but shit is what I would say about him. And pretty much that's the same thing that I would say about their centre-half, Bassi, who is built like a brick shit house, but plays like a shit brick house. And he was at fault for the first goal. So we were pressing high. Jacob Murphy, got to give him credit for this. He pressed high, he pressed Bassi. He tried to turn, you know, like fucking Shirley Bassi, tried to turn the wrong pass. He had about 4 different passes to make, and he picked the wrong pass. Murphy nicks it off and runs through on goal, kind of veers out a little bit. And you're thinking, oh, he's balls this up. And Leno starts to move with him. He then cuts it back across on the other side, hits off the post and goes in. It's a brilliant finish by Jacob Murphy. And you're thinking, right, come on, Newcastle, get into this, get sorted. And we just didn't seem to be lively enough with it. A lot of the passing was slow, you know, lethargic. And I think Lewis Miley, the game passed him by a lot. I don't think he did a great deal. I think his passing accuracy was high, but they were all very safe, short passes. There wasn't any particularly, you know, challenging passes or brave passes from him. He lost the ball a few times. Bruno lost it. Joe Linton lost it. Everybody lost it. You know, they weren't passing a great deal. A ball come through, and Murphy was through again one-on-one, a carbon copy of the goal, and he fluffs it, absolutely fluffs it. And that's why Jacob Murphy isn't a proper top player for me, a proper top player. That if he was, he would put that away. He's through on goal. He's just buried a chance before, probably a harder chance, and he fluffs that one. I mean, we go in and we're 1-0 up at half time, and you're thinking they're not really doing enough to kind of get in control of this game, really. You know, you can't let Fulham back into this game. And unfortunately, that's really what we do, in terms of the game itself. So it's only about 10 minutes after the break. Newcastle get kind of pressed upon, and Fulham were doing this a lot more. They were keeping the ball. They were popping it out wide. The likes of Traore, the likes of Iwobi, they were starting to make things happen a little bit out wide and starting to run at Dan Burn, starting to run at Trippier. I didn't think Trippier was great today. He looked a little bit all over the place, a little bit kind of lost in position. And then the ball comes into an overload on our right-hand side. Lewis Miley and Trippier are running back. They both seem to be arguing and pointing to each other of who to mark. And then nobody seems to shut the chance out at all. The ball comes across the box. Malik Chow, who I thought was probably one of our better players today, Malik Chow flicks a toe out, and it goes past Dan Burn on the far side. The cross then comes in. Nobody's picked up Sander Berger. And by the time Botman's even realised he's there, he's headed it in the back of the net, and then they've drawn level in the 56th minute. Botman goes down holding his head as well. It was poor defending. It was too slow. There was no reaction. Pope looked slow from I think it hit the post. I think it was with the Barn come back. Pope kind of was slow to react to that. Botman was slow to react to that. Botman then goes off with a head injury. Fabian Schär comes on. And I think, to be fair, Fabian Schär comes on, and I thought he looked really good. Him and Chow played really, really well together. I'm getting to Asula in a minute, by the way. I can see that coming. Don't you worry about it. He's going to have some praise off me. And we're really struggling there. The substitutes started to come in. So Schär comes on. Barnes comes on. I think Tonali comes on as well for Lewis Miley. So he comes on about the hour mark. And when Tonali's coming on, you can see the levels have gone up because he's good on the ball. He's passing it. He's trying to find those dangerous passes, the ones that Louis Miley's a bit too scared to make, a bit too nervous to make. Tonali's making those passes because he is the better player. He is the more experienced player. We start to come into the game. We start having chances, and we really pin them back massively. Chance after chance. Bruno misses a header shortly after the substitutions are made. He's got to bury that. Comes into the box. Bang, bullet header, should be in the back sticks, straight over. Don't know what he was doing there. Would he get another chance to fix it? You bet your arse he would. I'll get into that in a second. But we were pressing Fulham and pressing them right back. At one point, that 11 men just pretty much camped on the edge of their box practically to stop us from playing. Alanga comes on. Will Asula comes on for Big Nick. And I tell you something, Will Asula comes on, right? He's had a lot of shit off a lot of Newcastle fans and content creators like myself. He's headless chicken, all this kind of stuff. He was focused as fuck today when he come on. Head down, running, pace. The first thing he did was charge at Leno with unbelievable pace, to the point where Leno was thinking, Jesus Christ, what the hell is this kid doing? He was everywhere. He was aggressive, and he leads to the winning goal. Will Asula aggressively pressing, closing down for them. They're taking too long on the ball. Between him and Alanga, passing it between each other. The ball comes to Will Asula, and he does the right thing. He's come on. He wants to make an impact. He wants to show Eddie Howe he deserves more minutes in this team. And I tell you what, he didn't do himself any harm there today. Certainly is an impact sub. He drops a shoulder. He whips a shot, and it's a really good effort as well. Leno palms it out. It falls to captain fantastic Bruno Guimaraes, who does get the chance to make up for the stupid header that he missed earlier on, and he puts it in the back of the net. And absolutely, St James's Park goes fucking wild, and we've beat Fulham 2-1. Was it a great performance? No, it wasn't. It was actually a pretty bad performance, but the result is all that matters. Newcastle United have won this game. We're moving at the Premier League table. I think we're up to about 11th, is it possibly, or 10th? We're up there. We need to keep this run going. We've got some favourable fixtures coming up next, and that's exactly what we needed. We needed that win, and then we're going to go into Wednesday night against Spurs, possibly win that, get to a cup quarter-final, and keep pushing on in the Premier League. But it was great to see the impact players come on and do something. Harvey Barnes had a couple of little moments as well, a couple of moments where he frustrated, a couple of moments where he looked really good, but brilliant to see the likes of Will Asula coming on and doing something like that. And Newcastle, have won at the game. So let's get in some of your comments there. Vincent saying that's our captain. Absolutely. I thought he was great today, Bruno. I think he really stepped up in the second half. I think when Sandro come on, it gave him the license to push forward. Great play by Alanga and Asula in the press. Absolutely, Vincent, 100%. Wow, what a relief, says George. Absolutely, mate. I can't disagree with that. Again, Vincent says, I don't want to see this ref. Oh, my God. Let's get back to the ref, right? Peter Banks. What the fucking hell was he doing? Nick Voltemada, I don't think I've ever seen a centre forward be fouled more in my life. I was waiting for Randy Orton to run on and fucking RKO him in the middle of the box and get away with it. Honestly, this referee was shocking. It's games like that where you look at the PGMOL and you think, what in the name of Christ are you lot actually watching? Like, he was fouled, he was headlocked, he was shoved at his arse. The amount of free kicks he won was in the minimum. It was shocking, man. Referees like that, we could have lost that game in another instance. But it was anything for the referee, give us fuck all. Dreadful. Monty saying, thank goodness for that. That was looking like more points lost. Yeah, we did have to work for 100%. Graham said, well done, Asula, made a huge difference. Absolutely. Mark saying, fucking hell, lads, that was hard work. You're not wrong there. Kevin is saying, let's not take the piss out of the Mackems just yet. Ooh, God, what result for them today. Unbelievable. I'll tell you what, we all know how we feel about the Mackems. They've come up, they've spent money to stay upright, and it looks like it's paying off them. You've got to give them credit for that. That's an unbelievable result at Stamford Bridge for Sunderland. It really, really is. Second in the Premier League, these fuckers are. I'm not sure they're going to do a Leicester, Kev, so let's not get carried away, but I get your point. I'm going to stop taking the piss out of them. The best thing will be is if they continue this run and then we beat them in December and then they go on a little bit of a downturn. That'll be the best thing that could possibly have happened to us. But wow, unbelievable. George is saying, what beer is everyone on? He's just pulled a Budvar out. Very nice, mate. Very nice. I'm drinking the tea because I'm boring like that. I'm in the house. I would have been on the beers if I'd been in the game, but I'm stupid tired. Botman was going off with a blow today. Was a blow today, sorry, just as he ran at form. Hopefully there's no concussion issues. I don't think there was. I think it was just a precautionary measure, I think. Ty said, nailing your tyre. You were in Sunderland the other day. Suspicious. I know. I've just been nice about them there, Ty, so hopefully they might let me off. No comment there from Brian B saying the Sailor's energy off the bench is crazy. He was brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Attacking number 2, big props to Alanga and Asula and Malik Chow. That he drove us on absolutely. Chow's going to be up there for me for the man of the match. I may have to give it to Bruno, I think, just for the winning goal. And he did really step up in the second half. So yeah, it's a tough one. I'm saying Bruno for my man of the match, but let me know who your man of the match is. Might be Will Asula for some of you as well. Another comment there from Les saying 4 wins in our last 5 games. Now that's what we need, mate. That's what we need. Comment there saying, hi Chris, how are you? Newcastle versus Fulham. My man of the match is Bruno Guimaraes. That was my man of the match too, mate. Thank you very much, Ray. Another one from Chris Thompson saying, Christ, we made hard work at that. Absolutely. Trademark 23, thank fuck for that. That seems to be the reoccurring trend right now. DLG float's not great, but look at the positives. 2 straight wins, huge game on Wednesday. Tino, Hall and Wiss are close to returning. We need to improve this. This could be a massive 3 points. Massive. Totally agree with that. Great comment, mate. Absolutely great comment. Get them 3 back in this side. You're increasing the quality, the energy, and everything as well, the technique. Lewis Hall, love Dan Burn at bits, right? But games like that today against a guy in Traore who's fast as fuck, but not particularly good, that's the threat, because if Traore had got round him and he had to pull him down, that could have been a different kettle of fish altogether. So, yeah, we need Lewis Hall back and prime Lewis Hall as well. Dean saying, how bad was the ref? Absolutely, mate. He was shocking. Just said that a second ago. Yeah, and Tim Gill, I did give the credit for Sula, as you rightly asked for, mate. I did see that comment earlier. He made the goal happen. He did more than 10 minutes than the other wingers combined. I must say, I think impact like that from Asula, that is not going to do him any harm. If he can come on and influence games like that with his energy, then that's exactly what we need. He must be a nightmare to play against when it's 70 minutes into a game and your legs are tired and this nutcase comes on running at your full pelt. You'd be thinking, what is this? So honestly, I'd love to see Will Asula continue that. I really, really would. Dean also said he thinks Trips needs a rest but can't get one due to injuries. I agree with that, unless we go with 3 centre-halves and play Murphy as a right wing back. I thought Trips wasn't great today. I think he wasted the ball a lot. There was a couple of times he passed the ball straight to Fulham players. And, for me, it was, you want better performances from a player his caliber in a game like that. You really, really do. But, we won the game, so that's the most important thing as well. Otto Moyes said that was painful to watch. The poor officiating didn't help for both teams, and I totally agree with that. Barbara is going for Will Asula for man of the match. Why not? Why not? It was a brilliant impact from the play. It was class. Almost 600, says Mark. If you're here, get involved. Please remember, drop a like on the stream. Makes a huge difference. It does. It helps with the old algorithms and all that stuff. Liam is saying, in terms of the league, I know West Ham are shit, but I'm expecting a much better performance. Yeah, I could not agree with that more. George says, Bruno says, Will Asula, he came on, he shot. I was ready for the rebound in my 150th start for this club. Now I just want to rest for a bit because I'm very tired. Is that what he actually said? Bloody hell. That's, wow. What's going on here? He says, my whole family is here. My mum, my kids, my wife. So to score a goal like that at the Gallagher end is very special. But okay, he was just saying he's tired in the game. I thought you meant in general, mate. Jesus. Kev again, he's on the Osula train. Man of the match for Osula. Vincent says, Chow was very good today. Bruno, man of the match for Shaw. Malik Chow, man of the match for Marlon Bill. Bruno's man of the match for Graham. I suspect we play a hell of a lot better versus Spurs, says Kevin. You'd like to hope so, Kev. You'd like to hope so, mate, because we need to be playing better than that. We really, really do. Attacker number 2, where did it find these officials? In the boozer, I think, mate, by the sound of it. But yeah, and George says Chow is mint. He is very, very good, to be fair. Yeah, so I think that's what we wanted. That's what we needed. We needed to get the result. We needed to win. It would have been nice to have won with confidence and quality like we did against Benfica midweek. But I think the fatigue of that game's caught up on us. The squad depth again is showing. But to have the players come off the bench and have an impact and do what they did today, we saw it midweek with Harvey Barnes coming off the bench for an impact against Benfica, scoring a brace. And we've now seen it with the likes of Willisula and Elanga coming on as well, to be fair. Elanga come on and he looked lively. He looked really, really busy. I'm just checking what Sofa scores have done for stats. They're not very good Sofa scores at times. They do run people into the ground, to be fair. But he was on for 14 minutes in terms of what he did, 24 touches, passing accuracy 93% from Elanga as well. Yeah, not bad passing accuracy. 80% of his passes in their half as well. So yeah, you can't disagree with that in terms of what he did. Will Asula, when he come on, absolutely brilliant in terms of his dribble. His dribbling was superb. You know, he was all over the place, absolutely all over the place in terms of his dribbling. You know, so yeah, successful dribbles 1, touches 4, one lost the ball once, passing. You know, didn't do a great deal of passing, but his shot accuracy was good. So yeah, that's the kind of impact that we want in the players when they come on, 100%. But yeah, we'll cover there from Tunguro. Would like to have seen Ramsey. I think you might be saving Ramsey for Spurs, possibly midweek. Maybe that was the plan. Maybe Joe Linton today, Ramsey against Spurs potentially. That could be the case, but you never know. You never know where they how. But that's a huge result. It's a massive result. You know, in games like that, sometimes it doesn't matter if you were shit. You know, as long as you get the result. You know, we all want to see better performances, but balancing the Champions League and balancing the Premier League is tough for the squad. It really, really is. And especially when we've had injuries to massive players who would have started a lot of games, like Livermore, like Hall, like Wissa, you know, like Ramsey as well, who's been out. We would have seen these lads start a lot of games, would have been able to rest Trippier, rest Burn, you know, would have been able to possibly rotate Nick Faltamada as well. Looked a bit tired towards the end of the day, Nick Faltamada today. I thought he worked his nuts off today. I thought he was really, really good today without getting that goal. He worked hard. You know, again, these football scoring sites like SofaScore don't give him that credit, but I thought he worked really, really hard. Gordon looked lively today. Gordon looked like he was more kind of the Gordon that we saw against Benfica as well. You know, so that was good. That was really, really good as well. So yeah, we just need these lads to keep on going, New Zealand Bob said the subs was too late for him. Well, I mean, they had the impact, Bob. So, you know, we'll let him off on that one, mate. We'll let him off on that one. We've got Jude Perez said, everyone slated and hated Joe Linton at one point, apart from me. So let's get behind young Asula. Heaps of potential. I don't disagree with that. There's definitely a player there. Mark's always said that about Asula. He's always been a bit more willing to give Asula the chance, I think, than myself or a lot of other content creators as well. And you can't blame us for maybe being a bit, well, I'm not sure about this lad, you know. In the Mark's got the fixtures there on the side, as you can see, West Ham next, then Brentford there, 2 winnable games. Man City at home's a tough one. You know, Everton away is a tough one as well, and Spurs at home. So they're not easy games to get into December. But the first 2, you'd be targeting 6 points, there, absolutely, wouldn't you? But yeah, I think with Will Asula, everything's there for him to do things like he's done today. If he keeps coming on and having impact, he is going to get to a point where the manager can rely on him more. Maybe he can start games. Maybe he can play on the right wing. Maybe he can play through the middle if you want to rest Faltamada and even Wissa in cup games and things like that. But, you know, until he gets more consistency in his game, then, you know, that's probably why he's not quite getting as many minutes, to be fair. But if he keeps doing that, absolutely, he will have minutes more than that, 100%. Scott saying Bruno, man of the match as well. Phil says Chow, man of the match. Comment there saying the ref did everything he can to stop us in that game. Burn and Vault don't get fouls given against them because of their height. I don't disagree with that. Excuse me, I'm having a drink out of my old Evermore cup there. That was failed merch, as we couldn't do. Speaking about failed merch, I had a T-shirt, Mark had a T-shirt made of He Who Shan't Be Named. And I used to wear it to the gym. I don't wear that to the gym anymore. So I might wash my fucking new tires with it when I get them, wanker. I won't talk about that shit, Towers. I've done enough of that this week. What have we got here? George is saying, like the fucking video, or I will visit you and show you my holiday photos. You have been warned. Love it, George. Absolutely love it, mate. Absolutely love it. Right, let's have a check a few of the comments there. We've got a super chat in from I Like Coffee. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Burns' position has been all over the place at times. Do you know what it is? I feel a bit sorry for Burn in many ways because he's had the best 18 months of his career at centre half, and now he's been shoehorned back out to left back because of the injuries. Dan Burn would play anywhere for Newcastle. He'd get the gloves on and play in goal if he had to, and that kind of dedication and commitment and passion is very, very admirable. But there is games where you think, all that stuff is great, but we need pace, we need positioning, we need quality, and Burn sometimes lacks in those areas. I mean, he's had a couple of hard wingers running at him this week. The Benfica kid was a good player. I thought he dealt with him well, but he's 34 now, Burn? He's playing, two very big fixtures in the space of a few days against two nippy and very decent wingers, so that takes a toll on any player, let alone a 34-year-old, and Trippier's the same age on the other side, isn't he? So this is why we need Hall and Livramento back fit and to stay fit as well, especially Tino. He's had some bad injury problems in the past as well. So yeah, we don't need that anymore. Yeah, Ty's saying Steve Bruce t-shirt here, Chris. Well, I just have that on the front. Well, and then just pictures of bacon on the back. Possibly they might sell actually. Not too many people. Maybe Alex Bruce will buy a container load, and that'll be about it. Alex Bruce and the class of '92, Gary Neville and Nicky Butt and all them lot who love Steve Bruce so much, they can buy all the t-shirts, all the Brucey merchandise. That'll be about the only things you would sell, to be fair. Another comment there from Toon Guru. I'm not sure where Burn fits in when Hall gets back. I do, mate, on the bench. That's where he fits in. I'm not saying that to be harsh. He's not as good of a defender as Botman, and he's not as good of a left back as Lewis Hall. So he sits on the bench. But I don't know whether Eddie Howe will do that, to be fair. He seems to want to get Dan Burn in all of these teams, but we'll leave that for the manager to look at. Barbara said, not convince and win, but we did it. We could have scored 5, missing too many chances. This is a problem for me, Barbara, as well. I think you get that many chances in games, and you get that many chances, and you have to take them. In high-level Premier League games, it doesn't matter whether you're playing against a Fulham or a Man City or an Arsenal. Obviously, if you're playing against Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, those kind of teams, you don't take them chances to come back and bite you in the arse. Games like Fulham, you may have a chance to get another bite of the cherry like Bruno did today and scored the winner. But against the big teams and Champions League teams as well, we're creating these chances, not putting them away, and that is a big problem. That's something that we need to work on. That's something that our players are just lack a bit of consistency, and that's probably why they're playing for us. In all fairness, they're not playing for a Liverpool or an Arsenal or a Man City or a Real Madrid. We love them and they work hard and they've got quality as well, but you have to make sure you make and take those chances. Jacob Murphy's a prime example. Bruno's header as well. Even Big Nick hit the post. We have to take those chances. There was a couple of times, I think, when Barnes came on all, there was too much fanning about, pussyfooting about. They were dipping their toe in the bath to check the temperature with their touches. Get your foot on it, turn, swivel, have a shot. I was screaming at them to have a shot. Honestly, Barnes, I think Tonali had a great effort, didn't he, on the outside of the foot. The keeper just tipped around the post, but we need to shoot more. They piss around too much in the box sometimes, and it really, really winds me up. Dean saying 100% right, Chris. Big Dan Burn gives everything, but he's not a left back. It's time we put Alex Murphy there. I'm not sure about that, Dina. I think Murphy looked all right pre-season, but I'm a little bit concerned about him in a Premier League game against a winger with pace, especially one covered in baby oil like that big meathead as well. He might have him on toast. Mark is just letting you all know we've hit 11,800 subscribers. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I do concur. Well said, Mark. And speaking of awesome, before the game today, I don't know whether you saw it on social media, there was an absolutely class moment. There was these two lads were standing outside the ground when the players were coming into the ground for the entry, and they were dressed up as Big Nick Voltamada. There they are right there. Mark's banged them up. They had these big wigs on with a sign saying, Big Nick, we came, we need an autograph. And fair play to Big Nick. He come over and he signed the autograph. And he kept quite a straight face. I'd have been pissing myself if I'd have been him. But that's awesome. I love that kind of engagement from fans. I think it's absolutely class. It was all over social media, and rightly so. Well done to those lads for doing that. And well done to Big Nick Voltamada as well for going over and signing that. George wants merch. I don't know. We have talked about merch, George, to be fair. I know the Geordie Journos are doing merch as well. Everyone seems to do merch these days, don't they? I don't know how well Paul Gallant's doing with his merch. I haven't seen Paul in the comments for a while, actually. Hope you're all right, Paul. But yeah, we haven't done merch, so you never know. It's a conversation for me and Mark to have. Mark will be in charge of merch as much as he's probably going to fall off his chair in a cold sweat there when I've just said that. But you never know, George. Maybe get one for Christmas, mate. Just I love to rant t-shirt or something like that. Malik Chow was fucking incredible, by the way. Signing the season says attacker number 2. Unbelievable, mate. 30-odd million quid for that kid. I'm so glad that the other so-called big clubs on slot, if you're watching, you little baldy bastard, those big clubs didn't sign Malik Chow for 30-odd million quid. I tell you something, I'd have him in my back line rather than Dick Van Dijk backing his arse up to the opposite end of where the player's running any day of the week. Malik Chow is class. He was composed. He was calm. His pace got us out of a lot of trouble today as well. He's great on the ball. Him and Cher as well, really well like him and Botman. That's what good players do. They can play with anybody. Jonathan Woodgate was able to make Titus Bramble look good. And he was dog shit, so I think Malik Chow is kind of in and around that quality for me. Touch wood, haven't seen any part of his game yet that I think is bad. Hopefully there's nothing in there. You wonder why Milan wanted rid of him and people didn't want to buy him. I hope there's nothing in there, like just some kind of weird Achilles heel that we're yet to see. But fingers crossed it isn't there, because I think he's an absolutely brilliant player as well. So let's have a few more of your comments here, guys. Who comment there? West End Mag says, Chris, I want an Evermore mug. I know these are old ones, these. I say Mark had these ones done a while ago. And these were really good, to be fair. These were excellent. But yeah, we kind of dabbled with them. But you never know. We may come back. Titanium says, do branded Speedos. You do not want my face on a Speedo, mate. That is. I don't even know how to describe that, to be honest with you. Mark says, I'll get working on it. I really hope you don't mean the Speedos, Mark. I hope you mean the mugs, because I'm not sure I'm ready for that, to be honest with you. Insanity, thank you very much for your super chat, bud. Glad you want today, Chris. Those fucking Mackems, though, I know, mate, honestly. Mackems, God, how long is it going to last? I don't like the Leicester analogy, but I can understand it. My God. Mark is just confirming Christ, not the Speedos. Yeah, thank you, Mark. Really appreciate that. I was worried there for a little bit. Marcus is saying, we're all Evermore mugs. You are, and we love you, mate. Evermore mugs, classic. Absolutely love it. That's what we should call the followers. We'll change the membership name. That's brilliant, that. Evermore mugs, says Kevin. I think everyone wants an Evermore mug here, Mark, to be fair. Western Mag also says Malik Chow is worth every penny. You never know, we might get some Evermore mugs. We'll maybe do a member draw, live member draw or something, and then you can get some mugs as well as maybe some memorabilia as well. We have a few things in the old Evermore container, aka my garage or my dad's spare room, whichever, somewhere else I'll put it. I'll have to remember where it is, but we'll have a look. I like Coffee saying Speedos, bikinis and swimwear. My God, what have we started? I'll tell you what, I'll be in Primark soon. It'll be on the shelves. Keep an eye out for it. But yeah, we'll wrap this up, guys. It's taking a bit of a funny turn, isn't it? We're talking about merch and mugs and Speedos. But going back to the game itself, yeah, thank God Bruno Guimaraes popped in the box and scored that goal. One thing about that, that's why I want to see a kind of a double pivot midfield. I've talked about this before. I've talked about Lewis Miley, Tonali playing as a double pivot with Bruno being able to push forward. And that's why Bruno should push forward, because he's capable of doing stuff like that. When Sandro came on, you could see Bruno was up the pitch further, getting at the box, getting in those positions. He takes that chance. He scores that goal. He should have scored a goal earlier. That's where I want to see Bruno Guimaraes, in my opinion. Yes, he can drop deep and make tackles and win the ball and all that, but I want to see him on the edge of the box. I want to see him, drop my shoulder, skinning people, getting into the box, scoring those goals. I want to see that player. And I think that's why we maybe need to look at that shape in the midfield. We really, really do. Yeah, I agree with you. Attacker number 2. Alanga was much better when he come on. That's what we want to see from Alanga. Get the ball down, run at people. He was calmer on the ball. Didn't panic too much. He didn't run away and leave the ball behind him. You know what I mean? But it's a little cameo. He needs to do it more. He needs to make those runs. There was a few times where I looked up, Trippier was popping the ball over the top from Bruno was popping the ball over the top from, because he was going. Previously, what he used to do was he would run, and then by the time the lads realised he'd run, because he's that fast, he was running back, and then had to try and turn and go back. At that point, the ball was gone. So he was timing his runs better. Maybe that's something that Eddie and Jason Tindall are working behind the scenes with the player on, because he's a good player, and there is something there. I was at the game on Tuesday. I was in Logos getting the pint. I could hear a few guys behind me, and they're all saying, "Oh, shit, that Alanga." You start to hear those noises about players, and it's not nice to hear, because it's only early days for Alanga, but coming on and doing things like that in games will do him no harm with the fan base. You never know. He might even start against Spurs midweek on Wednesday because he's shown something there. He can maybe come on. He can maybe do something there. Chris has been a member for 2 months. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. Chow, man of the match for him, class. It is really, really close, to be fair, for Malik Chow and Bruno, in my opinion. I think he's very, very good. What we've got here? A couple more comments coming in. I've done these two. Everyone wants an Evermore book, honestly. You keep Mark busy there. He'll be sitting getting these orders in. Dex says that Eddie will draw it out of him, Chris. Yeah, I hope so. I really do. If any manager's going to do it, it's Eddie Howe. It really, really is. Chipper is the man, the myth, the legend. No, that's Graham Ritchie. Sorry, Graham. You're a man, the myth, the legend as well. He's been a member for 22 months. I can't wait to have Hall and Tito back. Me neither, mate, because they are great players. They really, really are. A couple of comments, guys, and then we'll shoot. Once Alanga gets Eddie-fied, he'll be classed as Monty. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Isla Coffee says, we did criticise Eddie for his subs after conceding, but we also have to give him credit for bringing on subs that changed the game. Yeah, absolutely. Give credit where it's due. That's what I always say. If the manager does something that isn't particularly great, you're absolutely within your rights to criticise. But if he does something that turns the game and wins the game, you've got to give him his credit as well. Absolutely. George says, adios, muchos. I must eat pizza and drink beer now. That sounds like a plan to me, George. That is a Saturday night, my friend. Well done. Let's have a look here. A couple more comments. Vincent saying, oh, he's replying to somebody else. Sorry, Vincent. I won't get involved in that conversation because I don't know what you're talking about. The Tuna says, Mackem's doing their survival run now while they can. I hope so, mate. Absolutely hope so. Dex says, I'd rather he was proactive today, though. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he's done all he can do when he's come off the bench to catch the eye of the manager, and that's all he can ask for. Same with Willis Sulab. I think that's us pretty much wrapped up, guys. Brilliant chat, as always, in the lives. 400 odd of you in the comments. I hope you've all smashed a like. Helps the channel grow. We really appreciate it. If you haven't already, smash that button and subscribe. Help get us to the next milestone, which will be 12,000. We're really, really close to that. Only a couple of 100 away. As Mark, look, he's changed it. He's such a smart ass. I thought I was going to catch him out there, and he's going to put 11,700. But he has changed it. So well done, Mark. 11,801. So they are coming thick and fast, guys. Keep them coming. Recommend us to family and friends. We'll be back with some more content through the week. We've got the preview for Spurs. I'll be back on with the live post match analysis. You never know, Mark may even come on with me as it's a late game, and we'll have a bit of a chat together. We'll have some opinion videos and everything else, as we always do. Keep it evermore. Have a belter of a Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you later. Cheers.
Celebrate. They have done it.